chance to make it 28-3. Arthur Blank loving it. Up by 25. Toss to White. He's in. What a comeback.
All right, welcome back to another episode of the 28-3 podcast. Happy New Year, boys. I don't think we've seen each other all in the same room since
we've done one.
2023. No,
Since
you were on
year.
your honeymoon, and then you and I did one without him because he was in.
We did one when he got back.
Did we do one?
I think we did one.
I don't know. You're getting old, Max. I know the memory's kind of fading
in and out. But
it's okay. Look, we're here for you. If you need support,
One of us is wrong, so
there's groups out there online like AARP has some.
Either way, back to the original point. It's been a while. It's been a while.
Yep.
So, but I guess the biggest thing that's changed since the last time we were here was Kubiak.
Yep, Klint Kubiak. We officially brought him in. You said it on our last episode. Like the one you and I did. You were like, you're not gonna put any stock in it until you see the Saints official Twitter account announce it.
Yeah.
And so now that they have, we can actually talk about it as though, not as though, but I mean, he's our coach now. He's our OC. Much needed. I know we talked generally about it the last time. I think now, like we said last episode, we can kind of delve into the specific impacts per position. I think also too, him bringing in all the assistant coaches is a huge move. I was, like I said before, I was definitely excited about Kubiak, but Doug Marrone being let go.
Thank God.
A new offensive line coach coming in is, to me, what I'm looking forward to the most out of this whole offensive revamp.
Yeah, and the three of us have talked about that a lot, how the offense was going to sink or swim based on what the offensive line did last year, and obviously it wasn't very much swimming.
No, there was,
But, so like you said about Doug Marrone, that's fantastic news. I think we all thought that should have happened way earlier.
Yeah.
But it's addition by subtraction, and then you bring in Kubiak, and the offensive line coach he's bringing in / running game coordinator I'm really excited about. So it's Rick Dennison.
Rick
Dennison.
Max had said John before for anyone.
John Benton was the other.
Yeah,
I just assumed Max was saying John as a when in doubt, like
it's an easy one to go with.
Cast a wide net with the first name. Dennison, though, bringing in Dennison.
Yeah.
Rick John.
I think the one thing also that we should say here is that for as much as we've dogged Dennis Allen, he's clearly just relinquished the entire offense to Klint Kubiak.
Yep.
He allowed him to let go or keep whoever he wanted, do whatever he wanted as far as the staff goes. It looks like, hey, you're the head coach of the offense, I'm the head coach of the defense, and let's see if we can turn this thing around. Whether that makes a difference and he can get the defense back, I think that's, that was not a great defense. That was a pretty good defense last year.
Yeah.
So can he get it back to that top 5 it was the year before? And maybe Kubiak elevates the offense, 5 spots or so and gets us into that top 10, and then we maybe have something. We wait to see. But at a minimum, it appears he said, I'm not capable of doing this, and I'm going to put it all in the guy I think is the best hire. I think they targeted him all along. We were just waiting for the playoffs to kind of, get through. I know a lot of fans were getting a little upset we weren't moving early on, but for me, this was my number one guy just because of the type of system he's in over there and the way, that Shanahan model where we know Carr isn't a top 5 quarterback, so we need to have a more dynamic offense, especially in the run game, and our run game was terrible this year. I can't knock this hire at all. I like it. And we have to find out if he's able to elevate to this level of coaching or not, and we'll find that out. But the style, I think, fits what we're trying to do. Yeah. A more run heavy ball control offense with a good defense. So it makes sense.
I think the good takes on Twitter during that whole hiring process were, these are all position coaches. We don't really know for any of them. Maybe some of the ones that were on bad teams, but by and large, the guys that were passing game coordinators, the guy that were QB coaches, you don't know for sure what kind of OC they're going to be. Now, if they had brought in like a household name who's already been an OC, that'd be one thing. But then the bad takes on Twitter, kind of going back to what you were saying about the whole angst about why haven't we hired anybody yet? It was a bit frustrating when it's like, well, yeah, I want them to move too. I am impatient as a fan. I want to see something happen so we just know who it is. But when two of your potentially top 5 candidates are playing in the Super Bowl and you only have like 1 week allowed by the rules in which to interview them,
right,
then you can't really say, all right, I'm upset we didn't hire somebody, because if you had, you would have ruled out who is potentially their top guy all along.
Yeah. Real quick, one thing we talked about is, can we attract good coaches with this offense and with Derek Carr? You got a good coach. Like, this was a candidate that people wanted.
Right.
I think so. That answers that question as far as the organization and the current state of the organization. You were able to still get what I think was a top candidate for an OC position. So that's really good news.
Yeah. There might still be some people who might take the, not opposite, but say, yeah, he's good, but we don't know if he was our top guy. Maybe we couldn't attract our top.
Well, it
top
doesn't
dog,
matter.
and you'll never know.
It doesn't matter what the perception is, whether he's the top guy or not.
I'm not
we
saying
do
it
know
matters,
he
but-
was a highly sought after candidate by multiple
People
teams.
wanted him, I
People
think.
wanted him.
Yeah, no, we definitely didn't get.
I think Zach Robinson from the Rams was probably the shiniest toy, and then Slowick from the Texans.
Yeah, and then people
But
kind
even
of
Slowick, that was 1 year. So
Yeah.
and then people started to fall in love with the Gerard Johnson idea because of CJ Stroud, and they're like, you got an in-person interview. And then, when he left the building without a contract, everyone was like, oh, that dude said no. And then Underhill came in and was like, yeah, we didn't offer him a job.
Right.
It's like, we didn't want him.
You don't know.
Look,
I think
and
it's-
inevitably what happened? He stayed.
yeah. So I think it all shook out the way it
The
was supposed to.
speculation that nobody was going to come here,
I'm
all
just-
of that
yeah.
just dumb shit is now been disproven, so we can move on.
I'm just glad. Yeah, I'm glad that period's over, because look, you know me, I could certainly see both sides of it, but both sides of it in this case were equally disprovable.
I want to say the other thing.
Like whether, I could see. Yeah, Dennis
Dude,
Allen.
there's 32 offensive coordinator positions in the world.
Right. But that's the
Like,
thing. When I say
people are taking that job.
they're disprovable, meaning it seems bad. All the shit coming out of the locker room, the players saying what they're saying about the coach, like. Maybe Dennis Allen is toxic. Maybe people don't want to work with him. Yeah, it's like it makes you wonder. But then, like to your point, it's like that could even if that is the case for like a handful of guys, like you said, the guys that are kind of like bubbling at the surface who know they're like one good offensive season away as the OC from being that name that gets thrown in the ring, like the Ben Johnsons are now, and for the head coaching positions, like. They're not going to pass up that opportunity.
And let's look at that as far as head coach for everyone who wanted Dennis Allen fired, which I think we were all in that camp. That
there's no were,
but look at
present
the
tense.
pool this year with 7 openings. You would have been fighting for the couple candidates you probably want, and it maybe ended up with someone you don't want.
Well,
this was not a good year to be in the head coach market. Next year probably will be, since you have 7 new coaches going into next year.
I think we say that every year, though. To be honest,
7's a lot, dude. 7's a lot.
Yeah,
That's it. 7 don't get fired every year.
I feel like it's increased every year. That
No, it's on the higher end, but at the same point, it's usually around like 5.
you're gonna be fighting every year. You know,
Yeah, you're gonna be fighting
Like
every
next year, you might be fighting the Steelers.
But I'm also talking about the coaching pool. Who were you jealous that got hired that we didn't get because we didn't fire
As
Dennis
an
Allen?
HC?
This year, nobody.
Nobody,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, nobody
No-
this year.
There's
It
no
did
new
work out.
head coach. Right, it did. We got lucky.
Yeah.
I'm not saying we were geniuses. I just think we got lucky. But there was no head coach that got hired this year that I was like, man, I really wanted that guy.
Look, I will admittedly talk completely out of both sides of my mouth on this issue, because I will say, fuck Dennis Allen, got to get rid of him. He ain't the guy. He ain't it. But at the same time, if somebody was like, well, who out there, like you said, would you have rather than Dennis Allen? It's
Right.
like, I don't know, but anybody's better. But they might not be.
When you
know?
let go of your coach, you got to find the next one. That's the other half of the equation.
And it's a coach. It's not like a player. Not that we sign players to good contracts; they all have dead money. But it's not like a player you can just get rid of in a year. Yes, you could fire. You could be the Panthers and get rid of a coach every half season. But
and that's
generally
why they
speaking,
end up with the offensive coordinator of a bottom 10
that's
offense.
why they're the Panthers. hey, Canales, he's passionate, man. He's passionate, right? But no, I do want to get back though to one point you said that I'm not sold on yet. It's whether Dennis Allen really has relinquished control. The hires indicate that the answer to that is yes. But kind of like Max's stance on, like the pre-Super Bowl, when everyone said the deal, it's agreement in principle to Kubiak, Max is like, I ain't trusting it until I see the Saints' Twitter account like a fart after a Mexican restaurant. Okay, I'm kind of the same way with how DA is going to handle the situation. Yes, he got Kubiak. Yes, he let Kubiak bring in his guys from former Shanahan type systems. But until the games actually start happening, and until DA's on that sideline and the situations come up, and I don't trust that he's not going to pull the whole, I want us to run these plays, I want us to run those plays. I hope I'm wrong. I hope you're right. But I'm more of a believer when I see it, when the games actually start happening.
I get what you're saying, but
I wouldn't have believed it unless you clearly saw him bring in all his guys.
Well, he brought in the guys, but at the end of the day,
they gave him full reign on who was staying and who was going.
Let's just play this out.
That's not very common.
I'm not saying I think this is definitely going to happen. It's just, to me, I guess I'm so scarred from this last season that the fact that it could happen still kind of bothers me. So you're in a game and Kubiak's saying we're up 14. Let's just keep pounding them. Let's just air attack. Sure, a few runs, but let's just keep being aggressive. And then if DA's like, oh, no, hold on, this team's offense isn't that great. Let's keep running it. If Kubiak's like, no, I want to keep passing it, and DA's like, nope, I'm the head coach. We're running it. Kubiak isn't gonna be able to tell DA yeah, but I brought in all my guys. All my guys are here. I want to keep passing it. That's not a reality that could happen. Again, I hope that's not the case, but it's DA.
So do you think he was doing that to Carmichael, overruling him?
Yeah,
I don't. None of us know. Do you think that's what was going on?
I think Sneaky Pete was a special case. It could have definitely been some overruling. I don't think Pete's one to really buck up against DA, and maybe that's where the fact that we brought in Kubiak is good. He's a 36-year-old young gun who's going to.
The biggest issue with
37 of this week. So
happy birthday, Kubiak.
The issue with DA and Carmichael, I think, is these two guys were basically on the same level.
Yeah.
And then DA got the job. It's like, when we're waiting tables and then he gets made a manager. It's like...
You made manager, Nick?
I was a manager.
So you start thinking about it and it's like...
Don't be jealous.
Look at you.
It's like nothing's really different at that point. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're not respecting your buddy that just became a manager.
Yeah, there's got...
So my point is, I think DA is probably like, Pete doesn't know what the fuck he's doing when he's calling. Just go do this. Just do this. You know what I mean? Because he's familiar with him.
And
so now you're bringing in somebody from the outside who's been with one of the preeminent offensive minds in Kyle Shanahan. And, his dad was a really good offensive coordinator in the NFL. So, it's. I think this guy comes in, there's going to be an automatic level of respect from DA towards him because it's not going to be the guy that, they were side by side in the lunchroom one day and now, he's his boss.
Yeah, I mean, for my concerns, there are good signs that I see.
I think it's going to be like Remember the Titans,
that lend towards Kubiak being able to buck up against DA. Because if Kubiak says...
No, I get what you're saying, but I think it's going to be more of, Remember the Titans, where Yost is walking by and Boone's looking at him. It's like, just handle your offense. I got this. I got the defense.
I would love that. And that's what I'm hoping for. Again,
and look, that was the only year that we won the Super Bowl was when Peyton basically gave Greg Williams full autonomy on defense.
And we mentioned
so
that.
I think we have to at least give a little credit, if it does go down that way, for DA with his whole career in the line again. We all think this should have been the year where you didn't get it done. Everything was teed up to get it done. We all believe that should have been it. So for him to trust, I think this is a sign that he is putting it in his hands. Now we'll see. You're right. There's always a chance. But when you give the guy full autonomy to do whatever he wants with the whole staff, I feel that shows,
it's definitely a sign.
Right. You do your thing, and I'm going to get this defense back up to where it should have been last year. We're going to figure out the defensive line in the offseason. We're going to get this thing humming. And if he's able to get that defense back where it was, and you have an offense behind it that can hold the ball and just grind out first downs in the 49ers way, I mean, it's a good fit.
Yeah.
Because you don't need an elite quarterback to run this offense.
Or even anything similar to what the 49ers are running now. Anything different than, the just indecisiveness, the haphazard play calling style that Pete showed last year.
Well, I think it's the identity that you referenced earlier in the season. We didn't really know what our strength was.
I don't know. D8 said we had an identity.
I know. I think we figured it out at the end of the season. I think it's going to look very different than that identity with the new offense, but it took a really long time for us to figure out what we do well. And once we figured it out, the offense started going, but it took way too long to get there. And for 10 weeks, none of us knew what we were even trying to do. It'd come out. Yeah. Now, we know the run game was terrible. That's what I'm most excited about with this, is that this is a run game focused offense from, the old Mike Shanahan, Kyle's dad, back in the Broncos days, Terrell Davis, all the way on down through, Klint Kubiak's dad, Kyle Shanahan system. That whole system is all run focused, in my opinion. You watch this, it's a dynamic pass game, but it is run focused offense. It is zone run game or a variation under Kyle Shanahan, a little bit tweaked from what his dad was doing, but basically it's a zone run game with athletic offensive linemen and good running backs. Mm-hmm. And, I think this is Kamara Miller combo. This isn't really the style for Jamal Williams, if we're being honest. That's a weird fit now.
It's a bad fit now.
Yeah. So, but Kamara and Miller could fit into this, seeing how much AK has left in the tank, and with Miller backing him up, this is the type of offense where those two guys can get a lot done. Not just the run game, but the pass game and the simple, easy throws that lead to, the box getting packed and you throwing over the top. Carr has every throw. He just needs a lot of time. He isn't elite in when he's pressured. He makes mistakes. We saw it last year. When we protected him, he looked really good. When it was difficult, that's where he tends to fade. So when you make it easier on Carr, if you're running the ball and you're pulling in, 8 into the box and that type of thing, I think Carr can excel in that. Yeah. And he needs to. If he's getting easy throws, like Brock Purdy had a ton of easy throws this year, right?
Or that the route trees and schemes are designed up so that there's spacing between the receivers. Where someone, I'm not going to remember who I can attribute the quote to, but they said that the way Kubiak does his passing design and scheme is to make it as easy on the quarterback as possible.
Right. That's what I mean. Easy throws.
Yes, I want to run. Everyone would say these new brand offenses are complex and they're exotic and they have all these different motions and looks. But at the end of the day, it's that's all well and good, but that needs to be installed with the quarterback in mind because he's the one that runs the show.
And if you can get the first read open, that makes it really easy on a quarterback. And if that first read's open by the scheme, that makes it really easy.
And so the opposite was what was frustrating about watching Carmichael's offense and the terrible offensive line play was that it was hard on Carr because the pressure was on him almost immediately. And then when you look downfield, the receivers were not really spaced out. Or if you did have a guy wide open, either Carr made a bonehead mistake because he's under pressure or just because he was being a bonehead, or the receivers were right next to each other. And it
that happened way too many times.
And so when you watch the Niners play or any kind of variant of that offense, whenever a receiver's wide open, it's there's no other guy on his team around him. They've schemed it up to where
they're all spread out.
Yeah, I agree. And let's be honest, if you watched Peyton's offense this year, it looked very similar to Carmichael's offense. It did not work. It was a bad offensive system too. So you have to wonder if maybe the game has gone past that system, like it's done so many over the years. While Peyton was very successful for a very long time, maybe it needs to evolve and he needs to change that because their offense was ranked below ours and looked very similar. Yeah. Clunky. You're giving away possession after possession, trying to run the ball 3rd and 9.
And that's why I'm glad we brought in a more younger, modern day style guy. And I don't even care. People are giving some people grief about calling it the Shanahan, whatever, the Kubiak - Shanahan. Someone replied on Twitter was there is no such thing as Kubiak Shanahan. Look, I don't give a fuck what it's called. Okay, the fact that it's not.
What's the argument to that? Maybe I haven't seen that because it's been like that for 30 years.
Someone was there's Shanahan, and then there's Kubiak. So
Kubiak was a quarterback for his dad, then was I think on the staff for his dad.
It was the Twitter accounts that don't like it when the Saints beat writer people play up the team to try to get us excited. And it's like all the account that said it. I won't put them on blast here, but
that's a pretty long tree with inner.
They were like
they weren't together the whole time.
They were like,
I get
Kubiak,
it.
Shanahan, look at these Saints beat writers just making up terms now just to give us a false sense of hope and excitement. I'm like, I don't give a shit what it's called.
Who the hell are you following that you're getting these takes?
This is the guy. This is the guy you blocked.
Who?
Craig.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah. And then he had somebody kind of
That guy's a fucking
I mean,
moron.
look, his dad was the backup quarterback for Elway, correct? Through these Super Bowl, early Super Bowl years.
But
then that's those have been intertwined for a very long time.
Yeah, and I think
whatever it is, it doesn't matter.
I think Duncan tweeted out Kubiak Shanahan, then Craig's like, "It's not, you're just trying to get us excited about," and Duncan's like, "What do you want me to call it?" But to my point, I don't give a shit. You could call it like the Mickey Mouse offense. If the Mickey Mouse offense got to the Super Bowl, then cool.
Nick doesn't know him, but we know the guy you're referencing. It fits. The shoe fits.
He could be curmudgeon-y a lot.
Yeah, well, that just seems like irritated for no reason. But
that's accurate.
I would think, when the dad comes, Clint's dad comes up through the Shanahan system and played in that system as a backup for, the late 80s, early 90s, I believe. I don't know what year he retired. That's where his coaching tree comes from. Yeah. Then, Mike Shanahan's son becomes a head coach.
Right.
Klint goes underneath that. That is for sure what a tree is. There's no debate. But
look, the nepotism is there, and I'm not saying that I dislike it in our case because I think we benefit from it.
If they weren't successful,
for those
I'd have
who
a
aren't
problem
getting
with
jobs,
it. Mike Shanahan made 2 Super Bowls and then made a Super Bowl with Atlanta. Correct? That's successful.
Yeah, I mean, he was part of an offense that gave up a 25-point lead in the Super Bowl.
His son
but he
chokes.
got there.
His son chokes in the Super Bowl.
The son,
we'll admit
yeah.
He chokes. His dad didn't, but he did it early on, I guess. But he won two championships.
Yeah.
His son has been very successful. Championship games, Super Bowl appearances, been great. Gary Kubiak was there forever. Klint Kubiak's been a part of the Niners system. You've got, Rick Dennison, who Max really likes to hire on the run game corner. He won Super Bowls in Denver. This is for sure that system, right?
Yeah.
And a variation of it.
Yeah.
So let's just call it what it is.
Yeah.
And we all are fans because it's been successful.
Yeah. Again, like,
I'm just ready for a change, man.
Exactly.
It's
Like
been 20 years of the other offense.
If the names we know that Klint Kubiak comes from a football family, there's arguments you can be made that, well, if his last name wasn't Kubiak, he wouldn't have ascended to the spot he has. And yeah, that's the reality of the NFL. And
that's the reality of life. That is life.
Right. It doesn't mean that I don't think that it's bullshit that if other people that are more deserving don't get jobs.
Maybe, but if you learn from a very successful
person. We made the hire. Like, it's who our guy is. And the fact that he's successful, like you said, and the fact that it's not Pete Carmichael, the fact that it is going to be
there's just no reason for anyone to be, against his hire. Like, everybody wanted Carmichael gone last year.
Yeah.
Could he fail? 100% he could fail. No doubt about it. But if you're looking for, this has been a very successful system and a variation now, more modernized now under Kyle Shanahan. But the Mike Shanahan system for now 35 years has been a very successful system in the NFL. Kyle updated it. You can knock Kyle for his head coaching ability. You can't knock him for his offense. The offense is exceptional. Panic in the big spots, maybe you can knock him for that. But you can't knock a guy who's been to 2 Super Bowls, had winning teams year in, year out with like the worst quarterback injury situation over a 5-7 years period of any coach. Garoppolo hurt, Trey Lance hurt, bringing in the last pick in the draft, getting him coached up. This is not easy to do. And that team, we all thought, I thought, was the best team in the league. I still think that this year. They were the best team. They didn't get it done when it counted, which is
They were the best team all year, though.
Yeah. Big knock on his resume. He can't get it done in the Super Bowl. I get it. But that team is the best team in the league.
You realize he's basically the offensive equivalent of Dennis Allen at this point. Like, both of them would make incredible coordinators.
Right.
But you want somebody above him,
But he's gone a lot farther than Dennis Allen. Let's be real.
Oh, absolutely. But DA, we can all agree, is a great defensive coordinator.
When that's all he has to do.
But that's all he's
proven himself. Yeah.
Right. So.
If he becomes what we just talked about, if he becomes the DC and he takes that mindset, and it's like a dual head coach situation where maybe he gets the final say on everything. I get it. But if you're like, hey, we've got 2 coordinators that are going to unite, let Kubiak go do his thing. maybe it could be something.
Yeah.
We'll see. There's a lot of factors that go into this. The offseason, the salary cap situation. We've got a lot of shit ahead of us. But this is the young hire Max has been bitching for the last year. We got him. He's a young guy. He was a coveted guy in the league. There's no doubt he had multiple opportunities to go different places. We got one of the guys that is a young, innovative coach coming from a very successful coaching tree.
Yeah.
So I can't knock it at all. Let's see what happens.
Where's the question? What grade do you give it? Just give it a grade.
A. It's an A.
Corey?
Yeah, I give it a. My tough grading standards make me want to say B+, only because he's only been a play caller for, a season?
That's more
Agreed.
than most of the other candidates.
Right,
are.
that's what I'm saying. So against the
He
other candidates,
he actually has the experience.
Given
of
who
doing
is
it.
out there, then, it's an A.
who are we talking about getting against him? I don't think we missed anybody.
Well, hold
I
on.
think
There was a moment where we thought Gruden was going to be it.
we did.
Yeah, everybody thought it was going to be Gruden. And one of the reasons, we talked about the social aspect because you were like, what would you say if he was the hire?
We tried to corner you there, Corey, but you didn't
did.
buy it. Good job.
But the reason I was against it from an X's and O's standpoint is because of what we said earlier with like the Peyton and the old guy offense is that there's no guarantee that Gruden in his prime and when he last coached.
I think we both agreed. The one
Yeah.
thing Max and I wanted was autonomy for the offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
And I think maybe we got that and a young guy. So we did better.
It's the best of both
I
worlds.
think
at that point. I personally give it an A+. It's a home run hire perception wise, and we're excited. Like everyone here is excited
I'm
to
excited
see the changes in offensive philosophy this year, and I think it's going to be fun.
And wherever you stand on Brock Purdy, Brock Purdy isn't a top 5 quarterback, correct?
Correct.
He ran that offense to a Super Bowl level.
Did you know that he was the last player drafted?
Yeah, I said it 5 minutes ago.
No one ever talks about it. I'm kidding.
And I actually am a fan of his. I think he's done exceptional. I think he's a really good quarterback. But we all know he's not a top 5 quarterback, right? He's somewhere behind that, wherever you want to put him, who cares? But with that quarterback, they excelled. Mm-hmm. So we also don't have a top 5 quarterback. We've got a good quarterback. We don't have a top 5 quarterback.
Right.
We know that.
Yeah.
So give him a system that he can excel when he's not the elite. That's what we wanted. We hired a guy that has proven to be able to do that. Let's see what happens.
Yeah.
Well, you know what, though? So just doing the player comparison you just did, I kind of like that in relation to other 49ers players, since conceivably we're possibly bringing that system over here or some variation. So that's my concern with the skill guys, because those Niners skill position players are all versatile. Like, it is commonplace to see McCaffrey go from running back to wide receiver.
Yeah.
Juice check, fullback, or tight end. Hell, he's even a slow.
We don't have a juice check. And
We don't have a Kittle. We don't have a Debo. We don't have an Ayuk. We don't have any of that. That's true.
So what I'm wondering is, how does that system look when you have, let's just say, not very physical wide receivers that are going to, knock the shit out. Like Debo catches the ball, he's looking for somebody to run over. Yeah. Ayuk's got some of that to his game too.
Ayuk's great contested. I think you say that, but all those guys are 4 or 5 years in, and all our guys are 2 years in or less, right?
Yeah,
our guys that are going to be here. AT was a rookie. He's going to be in his second year. Olave and Shaheed in their third year. Tight end's a mess, I'll be honest with you. Maybe Juwan can excel in this system. I don't know. But he's certainly no George Kittle or anywhere close. There is no other Debo in the league, so I don't want to say that. There's also no other McCaffrey in the league right now.
No other juice check in the league either.
There's no other use check. That's true. So it's tough, and we don't have Trent Williams anchoring our line. There's a lot we're missing. There's no doubt. But
see, that's going to be the fun
Damn it!
part.
Right after we said we were excited,
no, but the unknown is exciting. I am excited to see how it goes.
Yeah, a lot of their guys weren't known before they got into that system.
Dude, I'm telling you, I feel like
Debo was not a player until into that system.
Right.
Yeah.
Or till he had a couple years in that system. I say he was there, but when they learned to put him at running back, and was that 2 years ago, the All-Pro year, where he went crazy, and you realized what he could do, and they put him in, and they changed. He was a receiver, South Carolina, wasn't very good as a rookie. They start mixing it up. Yeah. Let's put him where he's good, and the dude is unstoppable.
Ooh, this could be good come hot take season in a few months when
we don't have a guy who can run
predicting who could break out.
Well, that's the thing, though. Who do you see? To me, Shaheed and Kamara probably fit the dynamic of the offense more.
Miller, dude.
What's that?
Miller. Fits.
Yeah, Miller as well. The reason I say Shaheed is because he's versatile in that he can run some of these jet sweeps. And
he can also run the
rounds.
big crossers, the deep crossers that, and Olave can run those. He just can't break the tackles.
Right.
So you'll see. But what Corey was saying is get him open. Mm-hmm. You help Olave get open, he's going to be open.
Oh yeah.
He's not going to house it. We know that. He's going to slide on the ground or go out of bounds. But you get him open and make it easier where he doesn't get hit, he's going to eat for sure in that type of offense.
Yeah.
I would love to see us draft more guys who are position versatile. Like, okay, Taysom. Obviously we know Taysom can play quarterback, running back, fullback, tight end.
He's a great fit for this offense.
He is.
But he's 35.
But is he a 17-game fit? That's the thing. Like
He's
Kittle, Kittle's been hurt, sure, but like,
Well, you're not comparing him to Kittle. This is your juice check.
they use juice check a lot too. It's
No,
like,
that's my point.
yeah.
this is what Taysom would be. The equivalent of, to me, is
Right.
juice check.
and
you
this
said-
is why we
what is
need
it,
to draft Brock Bowers.
Yeah, because he
The whole
fits.
reason. Because
Yes.
you get him in space.
among many other reasons, but yes,
in this offense, that is the
Oh,
guy
yeah.
who could
Brock
who
could cook. Yeah,
He'd kill.
Yeah, and I love that it's the one thing I think we're all in agreement on is the Saints need to draft Brock Bowers.
Can we afford to draft skill position this year? That's the question. Not that whether we would want Brock Bowers. Can we afford to not draft defensive line or offensive line?
I think
that's the question.
I think
No,
we
you
should-
have to draft offensive line at some point, but
Right. First
I
round.
got
You're
the
talking
question
first
is
round.
right.
First round pick, yeah. Our first round pick.
I think short answer is yes, because
Wait, you think short answer we have to draft an offensive
no, I think
lineman?
short answer we can afford
To not.
Okay, good.
Yeah, because look, here's the thing: every time someone's like, trade back at an O lineman or pick an O lineman at 14,
We're
or
not
pick
gonna
an
trade
pick
back.
an edge guy at 14.
I'll be honest with you.
but,
If
like,
Brock or Neighbors or one of those skill players who doesn't fall to us isn't there, I would absolutely trade back and try and pick up a pick.
No, here's the thing. I would
We
trade
won't
back.
trade. We won't trade
I would trade back like every year to accumulate as many draft
Yeah.
picks as possible. But here's the deal: we will not trade back.
We're
in
not
the
going
first
to do
round.
it.
They've never done
So
it.
here's my
Loomis
my,
won't do it.
My
Correct.
problem.
I would do it.
Oh, we all would do it.
My problem with
Yeah.
picking an offensive lineman with pick 14, when there will be copious amount of like plug and play starters at the skill level there at 14.
This is a skill player draft,
My
for
problem
sure.
with doing it is
It's
this is
loaded.
the same group that drafted Penning around the same fucking spot, or in the first round anyway. So it's like
was later, but-
why do we? But either way, why do we trust this front office to make a
don't.
good offensive line draft pick in the first round? I don't. So I'd rather us just go with a skill guy when you have
How many
a
first
new
round
OC
receivers this year, Max?
who brings
5
in-
or 6?
who accentuates the skill.
There's 3 elite guys, in my opinion, that are like for sure elite.
Yeah, you got Marvin Harrison Jr., Roma Dunze, Neighbors,
Then you got Brian Thomas.
Brian
who's-
Thomas Jr., Keon Coleman.
Keon Coleman's probably there in the second
There's
round.
your Ayuk. If you draft him.
Coleman's big and just jump
Ayuk's
ball
pretty
city, man.
fucking big.
Like 6'1", about 200 pounds.
Plays
He-
big.
he's-
He
he's-
plays bigger, I guess.
I love Ayuk. I love him.
Yeah.
Ayuk's a little bit different player than Coleman, I think.
Coleman's
Coleman's a contested catch, like, nightmare.
Like I say
He's
that because
physical
I
as
see
shit.
Ayuk as the contested catch guy out of all the receivers. Like he's the one that is the contested catch guy.
He's slick as shit, though, too.
He
I
is.
don't
He's
know
quick,
that
dude.
Coleman's that smooth.
No, Coleman's bigger. He's like they list him at 6'4".
So you would say Coleman's a little clunkier than Ayuk.
He's not smooth in the
He's-
route like Ayuk. But
He's amazing after the catch.
yeah, after the catch, he's more Debo than Ayuk, honestly, because he's
Taller,
he's taller, but he's a contested catch. He's gonna fight you for every fucking catch.
Yeah, his
That's
highlight
how-
reel is insane. But there's a few other guys that we're talking about could sneak into the first round of wide receivers. So
But
that's,
you're not taking him at our spot.
What is that?
Keon.
That's 5 or 6 we mentioned that are definites. Yeah, so
So what's our second round pick from Denver? Where is
45.
it?
45.
45. So Coleman's not going to be there at 45.
it's like T. Higgins, dude. T. Higgins never should have fell to the second round. He did. And I think Coleman's
He's like
the
T.
same.
Higgins. That's who he's like.
Yeah,
honestly.
T. Higgins is a better comp.
Yeah, he's a cheaper T Higgins at this point.
and T-
There's been talk about him, trying to, if we're recruiting free agent wide receivers,
he's too
in the event
expensive.
Mike is gone.
You can't pay those
It's
guys.
too much.
He wants
Yeah.
20 plus. He's said it. Jamar Chase is like, bye.
I mean, Mickey's proven
They can franchise him.
Mickey's
though.
proven he's dumb enough to like move heaven and earth to bring in a dude if he really wants him, but he's not worth it.
They've never gone that route with a wide receiver.
Not with a
in
wide
the Loomis
receiver,
era.
yeah.
So I don't think there's any.
I don't know. I love him. He's a great player. I would not give him the $22 million. I just wouldn't. I don't
wouldn't
think
either.
he's that. So for that guy's got to like change games. And T. Higgins can change certain games, but other games he's silent.
Yeah, Jamar Chase, I'm paying him that money.
I'm paying him
Justin
30.
Jefferson, I'm
Yes.
paying him that money.
They changed the game.
Tyreek Hill,
For sure.
but yeah.
There's just so few of those guys that are that dynamic. I mean, Tyreek Hill for sure. Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson. That's
That's
probably
your
the
three.
list.
Yeah, that's
But I
all right.
think-
You know,
I think-
after that it's CD. But does CD really flip the game? He's probably the next best thing. But there just aren't many guys that I would give $25 million or whatever.
Yeah.
to.
But again, like to your point about running through the skill players that the Niners have, and again, we don't know that Kubiak's necessarily going to do a complete mirror image.
Correct.
But the fact that that scheme seems to accentuate having those unique skills at certain very unique positions transposed over to the guys we currently have, like I would much rather
You would
see
agree we need one other piece.
At least.
We need something.
At least.
We
And-
need at least.
And
Right.
that plus my lack of trust on us drafting first round offensive linemen, and a positive thing, the fact that we've got brand new offensive line
Yes.
staff coming in, we have a bunch of first rounders on the O line. I know, obviously, they did not play well last year.
The one
Doug
thing-
Marrone was also their coach for the past 2 years.
I
So
think
it's like,
you and I were texting about this.
at least give it a shot.
See, I'm
with-
the most excited about
you know,
this.
Most of our guys on the offensive line are athletic.
Yeah.
Andrus Peet is athletic as all hell. Trevor
Ruiz.
Penning, athletic.
Yeah.
Penning, McCoy.
Yes,
all of them.
except Ramczyk maybe.
Ramczyk and Hurst are your
Right.
two.
Ramczyk is not athletic. The rest of the guys can
Yes,
move.
right.
They can get
Exactly.
out. They can pull. They can do anything you want to run. They just haven't played well.
That's
Let's
why.
be
That's why,
honest.
like to me, unless you were literally drafting the,
Saldiveri, too,
the
you forgot
number
about him.
one,
Right, he's athletic as shit.
Yeah, unless you were drafting the absolute no doubter best tackle in the entire draft, and we're not going to trade up to do it. I wouldn't want us to.
Well, you might not have to.
But,
Because
like-
there's two top guys.
Yes.
It's Alt and Fashanu.
Now, if
And
one,
of them may
one
be
of them
there.
might be
They
there.
might be
if
there.
one of them fall, then it's tough.
No, you have to take one of them if they fall. There's no.
Okay,
unless-
Max. One of them's there and Brock Bowers. What you doing?
I know.
The
See,
smart-
that's what I'm saying.
The smart move is the offensive
Yeah.
lineman. My dumb ass is going to sprint to the podium and turn the card in for Brock Bowers.
And maybe that's because we all think he's generational, even though he looks like an IT guy.
Yeah,
But that guy in college was something different. It's kind of like the Honey Badger thing.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense, but when
No.
you watch him play football,
Yeah.
it jumps off the screen.
and it's so funny
different.
because like even his backstory, he's from Napa Valley,
Right. He's a
California.
wealthy
And it just
kid,
like
just-
he doesn't even look like he's not built like he's built as shit, but like he just doesn't jump off the page as like, oh, that guy's so jacked.
But you
like,
watch him play,
and then he plays and he
just
just
has an understanding.
he
and-
owns
and
everybody. Yeah,
how to run after how to take angles, how to do everything he does football wise is brilliant. Now, have there been those guys who have come into the league and been physically they're not gifted and all of a sudden they don't look
Yeah,
so great?
like-
Yes, that's happened. So maybe that's the worry, but when you watch him play against elite competition his whole career,
Yeah, he's-
the guy was the best player on the field every time he stepped out there.
yeah. He's played in the SEC. He's played against Bama 3 times, I believe now.
He blocks.
and had
He-
success against them, even if the team lost.
I'm so curious what he runs at the combine.
I hope it's terrible because I hope they force
I
us
think
to
it's
a
going to
decision.
be. I think it's going to be something like a 4.59, 4.6.
You know
people
what-
are going to be like, "What? He's slow," and they're like, "No,
You don't think he is? Yeah, he's.
he's like Jerry Rice. He's just as fast as he needs
I
to be."
don't know what he has.
It's like Anquan Boldin, same
historically
thing.
run.
Yeah.
I don't know what his recorded 40 times are, but I think what it probably is he's got game speed. Like
Yeah.
a lot of these guys have
That's what I mean. That's
pure
different.
game speed.
Right. Yeah.
Josh Allen.
You put him on a
Go
laser-
watch Josh Allen's 40 and
Yeah.
then watch him play a football game.
Yeah.
That's two different things.
You're like he absolutely ran faster on the Monday Night Football game than he ever did at the combine.
100%.
And like a laser timed 40 is brutal to guys that aren't used to running them either. I mean, I'm sure he's run them at Georgia. They got all the fun athletic toys.
No, I guess my
But
point is,
it's like-
I don't think he's going to
Yeah.
go to combine and wow anybody physically.
There's no way. There's no way he does 25 reps.
Yeah.
There's no way he runs a 4-4.
Which no, Corey, I'm not.
No.
That doesn't impact.
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying just like he surprises everybody on the football field. It wouldn't shock me if he just shows up and has this old man strength when he doesn't even look.
As soon as he takes his shirt off, he's outside of the top 10 instantly. Instantly.
It's like the
Tom Brady
the
picture.
Tom Brady photos of
Correct.
tight ends. Yeah,
and you're like, that guy's not a football player. But then you watch him, and he's the best football player.
yeah.
I don't care what he runs, what he benches, what he jumps. I don't care. That's the best player I've seen in college football over the last 3 years.
What's funny because we've lusted over this player for months on end. And
Months,
and
years
over a
at this
year.
point.
We're over a year.
Years, you're right, years. Especially ramped up in months. But my point is, what's funny about us hiring Kubiak now is that if you had to objectively look at all the first round skill guys and say which one seems the most Shanahan-esque or Kubiak fit, you'd be as an all-around guy, you'd probably point to him anyway.
Him and the other 3 receivers all fit because I believe those 3 receivers are all exceptional.
Yeah.
I don't say that.
Yeah,
Max
no,
knows
yeah.
I'm critical. I love the receivers that are just dogs.
Which was Harrison, obviously.
Neighbors,
Neighbors,
and
Adunze.
Adunze.
What about Brian Thomas?
No,
I don't.
I'm out on that.
I saw
I would not pick Brian Thomas in the first
one of the
round.
mocks had him at 14 to us, and I was like, look,
I love him.
He's a good receiver. He could be a good fit
He
in
should
the
be
offense.
last
But
pick
we
of the
got-
first, early
But
second.
if
You need that player, fine.
Yeah.
He is, to me, he's Shaheed.
But
As
he's-
far as
he's
in your
6'4".
agreed,
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
more physically gifted, but he's the same role.
He's your
essentially.
contested catch.
That guy hasn't proven to be a good route runner or anything. He's a deep guy. He can do multiple. He's not. I'm not trying to dog him at all. Max knows. I was like, LSU's team this year should have been way better, and I'm not an LSU guy. Just
they're-
full disclosure, I'm a very fringe college football player.
It's like the
I
years
mean, fan.
the Breeze years where our defense sucked. It's kind of what LSU went through this year.
Yeah,
Their defense
exactly.
let them down
because that offense was so crazy good, and Brian Thomas was a huge part of it.
So much talent.
But I think he's more niche. Neighbors is a different
All around,
dude.
yeah.
He's a different dude.
Yeah.
Thomas benefited off Neighbors being on the other side and got a lot of those deep touchdowns. And I like him as a player, but I feel like we have what he mostly does well in Shaheed. Obviously, not as tall, maybe those type of things. But Shaheed can get deep anytime he wants to on anybody. So we don't need a Brian Thomas. We need a dog, like you said.
Possession.
Yes, that'll fight and win a catch.
And
because
the funny thing about Bowers too is if he gets a little bit of space, he can run.
100%.
He can break away.
He's fast as shit.
Yeah.
what's our weakest position on offense?
Well, tight end.
Probably
or
skill
the
wise.
whole line.
Skill wise. No,
Skill
skill
wise.
wise.
Skill.
It's
Yeah.
tight end.
Of
We were
course.
so disappointed in the tight end play this year. So that's the biggest upgrade we can make from what we currently have.
Fullback was pretty bad.
No,
He was terrible, but let's just I'm okay if we go away from the
The most
fullback.
important skill position. Yeah.
well, the fullback
The Corey Mall.
conceivably is a huge part of the
I brought up
offense.
wondering if Foster could fill in for
No.
the fullback
No.
role.
Fullback-
There's no threat of the run. Like Juszczyk, you can. Is it juice or use? What? How do you? Whatever.
I guess
Juice
it's
check.
Juice, but they
Juice
call
check.
him Juice.
Yeah, they call him
His
Juice in
nickname
San
is
Fran.
Juice.
We'll call him Juice here too. Then.
Yeah.
But
Since he's a cousin now of our.
no, the thing is
OC.
with Juice, it's the guy can play running back, fullback, tight end.
So real quick, a
Foster can't do
projected-
that, and Jawan Johnson sure as fuck can't do that.
Outside of the draft, is there any player that possibly could be available in free agency that you think fits this new system that we should target?
On offense,
Yeah, for Kubiak.
Jawan Jennings. I know that's been the trendy name.
It's
number
it is
15.
trendy, but and he's restricted. So if they elect to let him,
You could.
They
you could
might
throw him a-
have to. They
you
might
could throw him a
have to.
draft pick and
Yeah.
like a fourth or a fifth or something. But Jawan Jennings, just from the standpoint of like he has popped out on tape the last couple of years. You know, when you see 49ers highlights, the guy's big, the guy's physical, makes tough catches.
He
It's
played
basically,
great in the Super Bowl,
one
too.
thing that won't be an issue with him is whether or not he actually catches the ball. All he wants to do when the ball snaps is kick someone's ass, which is
Oh,
amazing.
yeah. His
he's not
blocking,
gonna,
he's
It's not going to be
nasty,
like
dude.
this. Oh, he didn't run his route because he's not getting the ball. The ball's not being passed to him enough.
Camito, I could
he
see us making
doesn't
a
care.
run for him in restricted free agency.
Any running back? Anything?
I don't know what his contract situation is. Literally,
You know
spitballing, but,
Saquon's
like,
ended up
AJ Dillon is intriguing to me, but I don't know what we'd have to trade for him, and I don't know.
I
what his
don't
contract
want a
is.
veteran running back. If you're going to get a running back,
He's
pick one
not
in the
that
draft.
Old,
He's
though.
very young.
He's pretty young.
He's 20.
No, I know, but you're still going to have to pay him.
Right.
We gave Jamal Williams $4 million.
Real
last
quick,
year.
does he fit this system? I don't think he does.
He doesn't. He's a sledgehammer, dude. He's old
don't
school
think he
80s
fits it.
running back. He doesn't fit this.
He
But
can
that's
catch,
why he
though.
reminds
He
me
can catch
of Juice, because he's
You
big,
can play him at fullback.
He's slogging.
That's an expensive fullback.
He's not making the switch to fucking fullback right now. Come on.
Well, what's he make? What do you think he makes? That's the real question.
I'm thinking outside
He's
the box.
going to get a
here.
couple million. I mean, 4 or 5 mil, I would guess.
that
I think
much more than Jamal.
I
Would
think-
you give him 2.5? Would
Yeah.
you give him 3 years,
I don't think he
7.5
fits what we.
as a fullback? If
He's not coming as a fullback. You're not selling this guy on, hey, I know you've been a running back your whole life and you put up good numbers in limited.
It's not like
school.
he's the number one guy, though. I mean, he's not going from starter to fullback.
it's not Juszczyk is not a fullback.
He's a fullback. He's a fullback / tight end.
They run a lot of like
Call it
single
a-
back shit.
call
They
it-
run a lot of it.
called an H-back.
Yeah, they run a lot of single back in the system.
Tight end, fullback, hot.
Right, but he can catch. Dylan can
Yeah.
catch. He's bigger. If you need to make it, I don't know how good of a lead blocker. He probably sucks, but Juszczyk's great at it. But they don't run a lot of I formation or anything
Right.
there.
Right.
He's more of the guy who gets out and routes
kind
and
of-
does stuff.
He's everywhere. You watch him. Sometimes he's tight end.
I love
motion
him.
over to fullback and vice versa. The reality, this whole AJ Dillon talking to his agent saying, "Hey, by the way, we want to make you a fullback now." That's not even in the realm of possibility.
He's not really a fullback. I don't think Juszczyk's really a
We'll
fullback.
make you.
That's what I'm saying.
We will make you a.
Yeah, but he's
a
more of a
Klint Kubiak.
tight end
Right.
than anything. Dillon's
Taysom.
he's a running
You're saying
back.
Taysom. Put Taysom in that spot.
Oh, Taysom you could put in that spot. I just don't think he holds up for more than
7 games.
He's
Right.
35.
I've always said that. You can't run. We all wanted to see Taysom 20 times a game, but Taysom can't go
when he was
20 times a game.
32 and 33, yeah, but now that he's going
Right.
from
He can't.
34 to 35, nah,
can't.
not really. I don't want to see that yet.
Everyone loves Taysom. Taysom cannot touch the ball 15 times a game.
Yeah.
We all know that.
So
So anybody else you would want, like, that you think Jennings
No,
is
Taysom's 33.
34 next year, right? When's he
Yeah.
turn 34?
Hold on.
It's this year for sure.
his ligaments are probably 56.
August.
It's before the season. So he's 34 next year. So I don't know. I'm going to say no. There's no one out there I want to go target free agent wise that fits.
Jawan Jennings is mine.
But that's a lower end. You know that's going to be a cheap.
Oh, I didn't
hopefully.
know we were looking for.
No.
high-
I'm just saying. How much is Jennings going to change the whole team? Not a ton, but it would be great to have. Right.
Well, the importance of wide receiver blocking in an offense, or any offense, but especially this one.
And let's be honest, we have no blockers on the wide receiver
Lynn
position.
Bowden.
Lynn Bowden, that's it.
That's it.
Bowden, whatever it is.
He does all the dirty work, and
We got to bring him back though, right?
We got to bring him back. I
love
liked him.
Look,
He was fun.
he way outperformed. We love to make fun of him. He way outperformed, no doubt.
He's talented, man. You remember him at Kentucky?
Yeah. I like him.
He could play quarterback.
Yeah.
Quarterback and wide receiver.
I like our receiving core without doing anything unless one of those guys we're talking about in the draft is there.
Hey guys, Corey here. So even though this episode was intended to be a Klint Kubiak impact on the offense type episode, we actually diverted at this point and morphed into a long discussion on draft picks upcoming this year and probably about a solid 35 minutes about our defense heading into next year, not Klint Kubiak and the offense. So to save you 45 minutes of your life for this week, we're going to break this episode off here, call it a part 1, and let y'all pick up the rest of our discussion next week in our part 2 of this episode. Until then, who dat?